The massive ships appeared without warning in Earth's skies. They hovered silently over major cities around the world. Dako Kim was working in his small electronics repair shop in Seoul when the news broke. People crowded the streets, looking up at the enormous vessel that cast shadows over the city. The aliens called themselves the Varani, highly evolved beings who claimed to have watched humanity for centuries. They came with a promise: to help humans reach their full potential, to uplift them technologically and socially. Their spokesperson, a tall, silver-skinned creature named Elix, addressed the United Nations with an offer of friendship and guidance. "Your species has so much potential," Elix said through a translation device. "We only wish to help you avoid the mistakes we made in our development." While world leaders cautiously accepted the aliens' help, Dako noticed something strange in the way the Virani spoke about humans. There was a subtle condescension in their tone, as if they were talking to children. When the aliens began setting up uplift centers in major cities, Dako's sister Sunmai, a brilliant computer scientist, was among the first humans invited to work with the aliens. She returned from her first day both excited and troubled. "They're amazing, brother," she whispered over dinner. "But they only show us what they want us to see. And they ask so many questions about our resources." Within months, the Virani shared medical technology that cured several deadly diseases. They introduced clean energy systems that replaced fossil fuels. People worldwide celebrated the aliens as saviors. Dako watched as his city transformed with new technology, but something felt off about the speed of these changes. Sunmai rose quickly in the ranks of human liaisons working with the aliens. She gained access to more restricted areas of their ship. One night, she snuck a small Virani data device out of the facility. When she and Dako examined it in his shop's back room, they discovered records showing the Virani had uplifted dozens of other species across the galaxy. "Look at these records." Sunmai pointed at strange symbols that her translator converted. "None of these other species exist anymore. They're all listed as assimilated or depleted." Meanwhile, Virani advisors began taking positions in governments worldwide. They suggested changes to education, economy, and resource management, always for humanity's betterment. When a few politicians resisted, strange accidents befell them. The public barely noticed, too enamored with the new technologies. A year into the Virani presence, Earth's natural resources began flowing toward massive refineries, the aliens built in remote areas. The official explanation: the materials were needed for more advanced technology transfers. But Dako and Sunmai had formed a small group of skeptics who noticed disturbing patterns. Hana Park, a geologist in their group, discovered the aliens were extracting rare minerals at an alarming rate. "They're taking specific elements that are common on Earth, but apparently rare in their corner of the galaxy," she explained. "At this rate, they'll strip our planet in decades." When Sunmai hacked into more Virani files, she uncovered their true history. The Virani were resource pirates who had perfected a method of conquering worlds without firing a shot. They would uplift a species just enough to make them useful workers, then gradually take control of the planet's resources while keeping the native population dependent on Virani technology. The most disturbing discovery came when they found references to biome remodeling. The Virani planned to eventually alter Earth's atmosphere to better suit their biology, a process that would be deadly to humans. Dako and Sunmai's resistance group grew as they carefully shared their discoveries with trusted friends. Young Ho, a former military officer, began organizing people with combat skills. Mai Kyung, a botanist, studied the Virani's biology from samples Sunmai smuggled out. They learned the aliens were sensitive to certain Earth bacteria and some frequencies of sound. The resistance operated from Dako's shop basement, using modified Virani technology to mask their communications. When the aliens announced the next phase of Uplift, mandatory neural implants for enhanced learning, the resistance knew they had to move quickly. Sunmai discovered the implants would allow the Virani to control human minds subtly, making people more compliant and hardworking, while diminishing creativity and resistance. The first implants would go to scientists and military personnel. They don't want partners, Dako told the resistance members gathered in his basement. They want obedient workers who will help them strip our planet bare. Young Ho nodded grimly. Then we need to become something they never expected. Students who surpass the teachers. The resistance focused on 3 fronts: understanding Virani technology well enough to counter it, discovering more about their biological weaknesses, and finding ways to communicate globally without alien detection. Sun Le led a team that reverse-engineered Virani devices, learning that their technology relied heavily on a crystalline computing system very different from human electronics. Mi Kyung confirmed that certain Earth bacteria could cause severe respiratory distress in the aliens, and specific sound frequencies disrupted their neural functions. But their most valuable discovery came from Jin, a linguist who had been studying the Virani language. He found hidden command codes in their communication system, emergency overrides that could potentially control their technology. Their arrogance is their weakness, Jin explained. They never imagined we could understand their systems so quickly, so they built in backdoors for their convenience, but took minimal precautions to protect them. Meanwhile, Young Ho used his military connections to spread the resistance worldwide, creating cells in every country with Virani presence. They communicated using old radio technology modified with new encoding systems, something the aliens considered too primitive to monitor closely. When the resistance learned that the neural implant program would begin in 1 month, they knew the time had come to act. Instead of attacking directly, the resistance chose deception. They would play the part of eager students while secretly preparing to turn the aliens' technology against them. Sun Mi volunteered for the first wave of neural implants, along with other resistance members who had scientific backgrounds. Before the procedure, Mi Kyung gave them nanocapsules containing a neutralizing agent that would prevent the control aspects of the implants, while allowing them to function normally from the Virani perspective. With the implants, Sun Mi and others gained unprecedented access to Virani systems and knowledge. They began subtly altering the aliens' resource processing methods, introducing inefficiencies that the overconfident Virani failed to notice. They also gathered complete schematics of the alien ships and weapons. Dako led a team that created devices using the aliens' own technology, but modified to exploit their weaknesses. They built sound emitters tuned to frequencies that would incapacitate the Virani, and air filters that could distribute the bacteria harmful to the aliens, but harmless to humans. The Virani, believing their Uplift program was proceeding perfectly, never suspected that humans were preparing to fight back. They mistook human cooperation for submission, never understanding that humans were now learning at a pace far beyond what the Virani had intended to allow. They came to teach us, Young Ho said during a secret meeting. But they never realized how quickly humans adapt. We're learning their technology faster than they're learning about us. On the day, the Virani announced the final phase of their Uplift, a planetary shield that would protect Earth from cosmic threats, but would actually prevent any escape. The resistance was ready. The plan began with Sun Mi and her team infiltrating the main Virani control ship through their work assignments. Using their implants and the command codes Jin had discovered, they created a backdoor into the aliens' central network. Meanwhile, resistance cells worldwide prepared to target Virani installations simultaneously. When the signal came, Sun Le uploaded a virus into the Virani system, temporarily disabling their internal security. Young Ho's teams activated the sound emitters near major alien gatherings, instantly incapacitating thousands of the invaders. Mi Kyung released her engineered bacteria into the ventilation systems of Virani structures. The aliens, suddenly vulnerable and confused, found their technology turning against them. The ships they had used to reach Earth were locked down by their own security protocols, now controlled by humans. Their weapons failed to function. Their communication systems broadcast their secret plans to all of humanity. Dako stood in Seoul's Central Plaza, watching the massive alien ship's lights flicker as humans took control. Citizens who had once viewed the Virani with awe now saw them for what they were, invaders who had come to exploit and eventually replace them. Within days, humans had control of most Virani technology. The aliens, suffering from the effects of Earth's bacteria and cut off from their command structure, had no choice but to surrender. Their leader, Elix, was brought before a human council led by those who had resisted from the beginning. "You came to uplift us," Daco said as he faced Elix. "You never considered that we might learn too well, too quickly." Elix's silver skin had dulled, and his breathing was labored. "This has never happened before. The species we uplift always follow the same pattern of dependency. Humans are different," Sunmai replied. "We don't just learn, we innovate. You gave us knowledge, but we created things with it that you never imagined." The terms of surrender were simple. The Virani would share all their knowledge, not just the portions they had planned to reveal, and would help humans understand the galactic community they have been kept ignorant of. In return, they would be allowed to leave with one ship and enough resources to reach their homeworld. But when humans accessed the Virani star charts, they made a shocking discovery. The aliens had no homeworld anymore. They had depleted it centuries ago and had been living nomadically, moving from one conquered world to another as resources were exhausted. 6 months after the failed invasion, humanity had integrated Virani technology into Earth society in ways the aliens never intended. Instead of stripping the planet, they developed truly sustainable systems. The knowledge taken from the Virani allowed humans to expand into near space, establishing bases on the Moon and Mars. The remaining Virani, now fewer than 1,000, worked under human supervision, helping to translate the vast databases from their ships. They watched with a mixture of fear and fascination as humans took their technology in new creative directions. "We have detected signals," Sunmai told Daco one evening as they stood on the roof of the New Earth Defense Center. "The Virani Empire is vast, spanning dozens of systems. They'll eventually realize something went wrong here." Daco nodded, looking at the stars with new understanding. "And when they come, they'll find not the primitive species they expected, but something new. Humans with Virani technology, improved and adapted." Young Ho joined them, carrying plans for the first human-built interstellar ships. "We're already preparing expeditions to the worlds they conquered. Some may still have surviving native species we can help." Mike Young added softly, "And the resources they claim to need so desperately. We've already found ways to synthesize most of them." As the sun set over a transformed Earth, the siblings looked to the stars with new purpose. The Virani had come to uplift humanity, never suspecting they were digging their empire's grave. Now humans would take their place among the stars, not as conquerors like the Virani, but as liberators and protectors of the worlds the aliens had exploited. Humanity had been tested and had not only survived but thrived. They took the knowledge meant to enslave them and used it to free themselves. Now they would do the same for others across the galaxy. "They never understood what makes humans special," Daco said. "We don't just adapt, we transform. And now the galaxy will know. Earth is not a world to be conquered.